Hey YouTube. So, this video is this video is most probably going to be my longest video to date. I plan on talking about not a lot per se, but I know I'll digress a bit, so I guess a lot. Anyway, so a couple of things I want to cover. Before I get to the body of this video. So the first bit, I'm going to, have a little anecdote that I want to share with you guys about what happened today. What happened to me today, rather. And then a lot of people still ask me, like, what's been my biggest adjustment. I'm sorry, I keep moving. I'm going back on the back legs of this chair, when you balance on the, okay, I'm gonna just stay still. All right, so I don't want to stay still, I'm like a child. But so a lot of people have asked me, what's the biggest what the biggest adjustment has been in moving to college. Some people have asked me to talk a little bit more about dorm life, so I'm going to talk about those two things, and then I'm going to talk about the technology I use that helps me get through college life and dorm life. So, this will be the embodiment of the title of this vlog, to be about college life and blindness. But before I start, I'm going to share with you a little anecdote, and if you look at my activity, I liked a whole bunch of videos about accents recently, because I periodically have phases where I learn new accents, or try to learn new accents, and I want to tell you my anecdote, and I want to try to move fluidly between the accents that I can imitate. I feel like my British accents and, of course, my general American accent, I feel like those are my two best, because I can hold them for the longest amount of time. I can speak in a prolonged amount of time with both of them. The American one, obviously, because I'm American, but the British one, I had Anglophilic tendencies as a child, and I'm still a bit of an Anglophile, so, yeah, I guess we'll see where that goes, yeah? So, today, my first class was cancelled. I can't speak. You see what accents do to me? So my first class is called Distinguished Living Writers. It's a class wherein we read books by distinguished living writers. Oh crap, things are falling. Just my phone. It's all right. So, in this class we read a book by author, and then we have Q&A with author and live reading. And this week we had both the live reading and Q&A on in the same week rather than week apart. So my professor, she sent out an email last night and was like, class is cancelled, and basically, it gave me an opportunity to sleep in, because, I wake up late already. Like, class starts at 11 and 10, and alright, I can't hold out. I tried. There was no real point in me doing that just for myself. But anyway, so my class starts at 11:10, and I usually wake up around 9, but this meant that I could stay in bed until like 10, maybe even 11, because my next class starts at 12:45. So I spent most of the morning calculating exactly what time I would need to leave so I can get to class exactly on time, or 5 minutes early, and I ended up being about 12 minutes late. And not only was I late, I walked in and the desks were arranged differently slightly, so it was closer to the door. Oh, I'm sweating. It was closer to the door, so I walked into the desk, moved to the side so that I could close the door. It gets better. Just wait. Move to the side so I can close the door, and kind of stumble a little bit on a bag, and go to catch myself, and almost knock this guy's laptop off of his desk. Yeah, not pretty embarrassing. And then when I was going to my seat, so the chairs with desks attached to it. It was the desk for the lefty, and I can't see out of my left eye. Later on, when I talk about technology, I'm also going to talk about my vision, what exactly I can and can't see, or to the best of my ability. But it's for the lefty, but you know, it was on my right side. On my right side was the armrest rather than the seat, so I wouldn't have seen it. Thankfully, the dude whose laptop I almost damaged told me. I mean, I would have figured it out because I put my hand out anyway. But yeah, not cool, not cool. Alright, so anecdote over, and now to the meat of this video. It only took me like 1.5 songs to get through it. Oh, before I do that, so my backing soundtrack today is Pierce the Veil, because it's been like, what, 3 or 4 years since Collide with the Sky? It was like 12 or 13. But they made an announcement today, or, you know, it's in Rolling Stones and Alt Press, about their latest album that they're working on. It's called Misadventure, and I think it's called Misadventure. Let's go with that. Don't quote me. But I'm super excited, so just having them be my background. Okay, enough with that. Huh. Sorry, I heard something in the hallway. Alright, so, college adjustments. I feel like I might have briefly touched upon this in past videos, but I honestly don't remember, and I guess, you know, I've never made, like I've talked about random bits of things, but I've never really just sat down and just talked about, you know, the differences. So honestly, for me, it wasn't a huge change. Like, I have a number of friends actually who complained about how they like didn't make any friends in the first semester. They absolutely hated it. Some people were awkward about talking about their disabilities with their professors, and, you know, just a lot of adjustment issues. And I didn't really have any of that, because since junior high, like, my vision teacher wanted me to advocate about my vision to my teachers so that they knew what I needed, like that they needed to get things to my vision teacher in advance. My vision teacher, a vision teacher is someone who, you know, it's like a what it sounds like, a vision teacher. They assist you where, I guess, where your vision might cause a limitation. For example, a teacher could not just hand me a printed page and expect me to read it. So the goal was for them to have it in advance, get it in advance to my vision teacher, so that I could get it in an accessible format, which I'll talk more about later. Now in college, no vision teacher, so, you know, I generally just have them email me things in advance. But, you know, I had a lot of friends who were awkward about this, and they were like, you know, as I said, they had issues making friends, and I didn't have the friend issue, and not because, you know, I have such an effervescent personality, which I do, of course, but, it's more out of necessity. I started talking to people, for example, if I needed someone to read something on the board for me, or if I needed help getting somewhere, you know, then I'd strike up I wouldn't strike up a conversation, just be like, hey, can you read that, or hey, can you help me get here, or something like that. And sometimes, you know, conversations would spark there. And I also had a friend base going into school as well, because there's this app, the school's app, and my school's on it. And then someone one day was like, hey, you guys want to, like, make a chat on Facebook so we can get to know each other better, yada yada yada. And then so there was a lot of us. It's like, I want to say at least 50. There were a lot, but there were only a set few of us who spoke regularly, and people would just pop in, or you just see that they read the messages and they didn't say anything, like creeps. And then, like, over the summer there were meetups. I never got to go to any of the meetups, because I was either, like, I was working, or I went to Disney World my godmother took me to Disney World as a graduation present, like, and my god siblings and stuff. Yeah. So, but then we all, like, met up throughout the day on the first day of school, and, you know, we had an established friend base, and then their friends, like, they introduced us to who they met, and, you know, it was nice, and we still kind of have that base to rely on. So, yeah, I didn't necessarily have that issue, But what I did have issues in terms of adjusting was more the little things, like during the winter, like if I wanted to keep my jacket on with my scarf and hat and gloves, like no one was going to reprimand me for it. I can leave my hood up if I want to. I can, it's, the freedom of it. Like things aren't as rigid, and like even at my school, like things were pretty. It wasn't super rigid, but it's rude to have your hat on inside, and which I never understood. But well, whatever. So, and not raising your hand to go to the bathroom. Something one of my friends and I discussed, were discussing a few days ago, is that we don't actually go to the bathroom while we're in class. We usually just hold it if we have to go. Because, so for example, if I'm sitting in the middle of the classroom, I'm not going to want to leave and then have to worry about finding my seat when I get back. And generally, like, I know where I'm sitting. Like, we choose the same seats every time, so I know where I'm sitting. But I don't know. I just feel like once everybody's settled in, like, outstretched feet, and maybe, like, book bags have moved around a bit, and, I'll stumble, and it won't be fun. And then I've just had a lot of practice in holding my pee from high school, junior high, even elementary school. Like, I just generally tried not to go to the bathroom, so it's kind of natural for me now too. But it's weird. Like, I just want to raise my hand. I don't want to get up because I feel it's rude to just get up and like walk out in the midst of a professor talking. But yeah. So just kind of those slight things. What else? So about dorm life itself. So I think it's cool. When I found out that I wasn't going to have a roommate, I was a little disappointed because I did want one. Like, yes, I like grew up living with my mom and sisters, but I don't know, I feel like it's not the same. It's getting to know someone new, and I know that there are crazy roommate stories, but there are also those like Hallmark roommate stories wherein like you guys become best friends and then you're like lifelong friends, and it's great, right? But most of the people here don't have roommates, so it wasn't like because I'm blind or anything, that I didn't get the roommate, because it's actually one of the reasons I got the opportunity to dorm. Like, where I live is pretty, like, or where I used to live, it's not totally accessible getting to the train. So, in terms of accessibility, it was easier for me to just dorm. I had to cross a 6 to 8 lane highway every day. Yeah, fun, right? And I also, like, have my own bathroom. It's an ADA bathroom, Americans with Disabilities Act is what that stands for, because I am an American with disability. I am an American with a disability. But I have had, like, times when there were, like, weird things happening with my bathroom, like the maintenance people, because the bathroom is cleaned. The maintenance people, like, the lock was jammed and weird stuff, and it was like over New Year's weekend, so there was like no one here, so I was using the communal bathroom, and like, I have no problem using it, but if you search my Twitter, I don't know who has that time, but if you search my Twitter back to New Year's, like, you'll see tweets from like 4 a.m. about me walking into the bathroom and either being totally freaked out or like, after I leave, after the toilet has flushed, and being totally freaked out because it's really loud and it's like 4 a.m. so it's super quiet, or being frozen half to death because the windows are always open and it was just always super cold. But it's nice. So it's kind of like, I guess, living in an apartment building. Everyone's room is their own apartment, but then we have like the communal kitchen and we have a lounge area. On my floor we have a piano. And I think there's a piano in the east wing. There are wings in the dorm, northwest and east. But yeah, so we have a piano, and we have a TV. Each floor has TV and chairs, and like couches and stuff, and it's cool. So we have our own separate spaces, and then we have the communal area. So I like that you can go out. You can go out into the lounge area and socialize if you want to, or just kind of sit there and just like let the people, if there are people out there, just kind of let them wash around you. Or in the kitchen, there could be like 5 people working on different things, like someone at the stove, someone might be working in the oven, someone washing things at the sink, someone else microwaving, someone else waiting to use the microwave after that person, or waiting to use the toaster oven once the microwave was finished, because we can't use both at the same time. You know, so it's nice, and then you can just retreat back into your room and be by yourself. And it's also nice that, like, even if, let's say there's a group of people talking about something, like, you could just slip in and join the conversation, and, you know, you're not obligated to stay a part of it. Like, you can just join the conversation for the time that you're in the kitchen, and then, you know, everybody wishes you a good night or wishes you a good meal, whatever. It's nice, like I said. It's also nice being my own boss. Like, it's going to suck so much when I get back home this summer. Like, I've been dreading it since the beginning of spring semester, which was like over a month and a half ago. So yeah, that's definitely going to suck. I think another adjustment, another small thing, like not texting my mom updates of my whereabouts. I was never excited to do it, but it was like, so she expects me to get there at 1, and if I haven't called her at like 1:10, maybe because there was a train delay, or I got to my destination and I had to use the bathroom or something, and it'd just be like, oh my gosh, you know, you didn't text me, blah, blah, blah. And so it alternated. Sometimes she'd be panicking, and sometimes, like, I'd forget to text her and just be hours later, and she's like, hey, you got there, right? So I never knew what to expect from her, but it was nice not having to answer to anyone. Yeah, so that was cool. And I guess if anyone has any, like, really pointed questions, I can answer that in another video. And now, so, onto my technology. Wow, I am approaching 20 minutes. Alright. Okay, so, well, it's like 17 minutes. So, approaching, because rounding up, that's the most math I'll ever do, guys. Rounding up. Alright, so, my technology. I want to give you a little bit of backstory on why I decided to do this in this video now. There's this comedian I found a few years ago, Jay Larson. He made this video called Is Anybody There? I think it is. I'll put a link to it in the description. But he made this video, and it's about basically, like, he encounters this blind guy, and I think they're, like, in the middle of, like, a park or something. Central Park, I want to say. That sounds good. Central Park. And the blind guy just stops and he's like, is anybody there? And when I first seen that video, I was like, really? Like, so stereotyping. Like, 'cause I've met some older blind folk, and they can be annoying, or not annoying, but I guess childlike. Something in that area. Annoyingly childlike, you know, and some are, like, really cool. As I guess it is with with all old people. Like, you can either be cool or you can be annoyingly childlike. Sorry. Eyebrow. Itchy. Okay, so, sorry, I'm just processing that I've talked for so long, and I know that I could, like, edit this video, I could ask one of my friends to do it, but that's a lot of work. I'm just gonna upload this tonight. So, I was watching the video, and then shortly thereafter, I started working at this organization, Visions, where they offer you, like, summer and after-school jobs. I was working at a snack bar. So at this place, for the jobs are for, like, blind and visually impaired youth. So in this particular building, like, a lot of old people live there. So I was working at the snack bar, and that's generally, like, the older folks frequented there, or the other people who worked in the building assisting them in other ways, or assisting the other blind and visually impaired youth. And it was there when I heard, like, someone in the hallway going, hello, hello, you know, I guess to get people's attention, to know if there are other people there, or, in the streets, like, people doing that sort of thing. It's really quite weird, and some blind people are jerks, as, like, evidenced in that video, which, like I said, I'll link. So, anyway, I commented, because I found it, I have a playlist, and I was looking through some of the videos that I'd added to it years ago, and I found it, and I commented on it, and I was like, you know, this is still just as funny, and I know people who, like, I have friends who are, like, you know, who were surprised that I found it funny because I'm blind, so I should be offended for the old man, which, again, watch the video and you'll see what I'm talking about. But, I should be offended for the old man. And I wasn't. I was just thoroughly entertained. And yeah, blind people can be jerks, as can, sighted people. Like, just because we have a disability does not change anything, trust me. But I commented, and then a few days later, someone commented in return, I don't know if you're a guy or girl. I'm sorry. I looked at your channel, but I didn't really, you have, a video. I didn't pay attention. Anyway, so this person responds and was like, I've never encountered a blind person on YouTube. How do you search for videos? And I was like, oh, well, I guess I can just do a comprehensive video wherein I discuss comprehensively, all the technology that I use. There are other blind vloggers out there who have also talked about their technology and what they can see and things to that effect, and I guess I'm just joining scores of them. Or I guess not scores, there aren't very many of us, but there's more than I thought. So, first let's talk about my vision. So I can only see out of one eye, my left eye, and what I can see from that eye. I can see light. When I was a child, I learned Braille and print simultaneously, large print, and but then soon they started more cultivating my Braille reading. I felt like they thought that was more relevant, which I'm kind of sad that happened. My sister continued to work with me on my print, but eventually I kind of gave up because I'm like, well, my teachers obviously aren't working on it with me, so whatever. And now I wish that I had still cultivated it. The only things that I read that's not in Braille now are just numbers on cable boxes or digital clocks. I can read numbers fairly quickly. Letters, not so much. And my vision has worsened a bit over the years. I can no longer read money. Not consistent. I barely even try anymore. But, I see color and I use my vision to get around things. In looking at people, I have a few set friends whose descriptions are unbiased until I then ask them, for their biased opinion. And it's thoroughly entertaining. I enjoy it, they enjoy it. I call them my designated eyes. And, it works for me. I use a cane. In addition to using my cane, I definitely rely on my vision. I've noticed this because I've tried walking around with my eyes closed, and I walk into significantly more things. So my cane definitely helps me. If I didn't have it, I'd walk into things as well. But I use them simultaneously. I rely on one where the other can't help me, and vice versa. So yeah, that's my vision. Something a lot of people ask me is, can you see shadows? And I covered this in one of my other videos. That means nothing, really. I'd be frightened if I saw shadows. That sounds like some paranormal activity stuff right there. And yeah, so I don't know I honestly don't know what that means. And then people, who have also just asked me if my vision is blurry, or to other friends, so what can you see? Is it blurry? There's no frame of reference for what blurry is. If their vision is or any of our vision is naturally blurry, then we don't know what it was like to have seen clearly. So there's no frame of reference upon which to go. And with fully blind people, they say that they see darkness. It's not really darkness because if you were born blind, there was no light by which to compare it. It's just nothing. And I don't know how it is for some people who have gone blind over the years. I feel like it might just be nothing, or they might describe it as darkness. I don't know. From my right eye, there's light perception. So if I cover my left eye and turn on or off a light, I will notice that. And my eyes are light sensitive. I have glaucoma, which is characterized by the gradual vision loss and high eye pressure. Well, I guess you can also have low tension and normal tension glaucoma, but generally high eye pressure. And I think that's also a characteristic to have light sensitive eyes, but my eyes are pretty light sensitive, so there are times like if my eye pressure is up and my eyes are really hurting, like I have to turn off all the lights. Like I have to close the curtains because even the street lights bother me. And it can be pretty bad. Like my eyes will turn, like get a little red, like bloodshot. I know that caffeine raises eye pressure, so I don't drink coffee a lot, but I still do drink it. And I just like brace myself. I also have nystagmus, which I'm sure people watching my videos have noticed that my eyes don't stay still. That's what nystagmus is. And yeah, so 5 minutes on my vision. I hope this was comprehensive. And again, any more like specific questions, I'll either, if you comment, I'll reply to the comment, or if you send me a message on Twitter, or if it's something like that I can talk extensively about, I will make it into another vlog video. Alright, so onto my technology. So I've shown this to you before, but this is my braille, my headphones are tangled in it. This is my braillenote. It's like a miniature brailler. A brailler is a braille typewriter. So I'm going to take it out of its case so I can show it to you better. Okay, let's see, I can see the camera. So I'm going to assume that the camera can see my braillenote. And I'm also going to like put links for further reading about all of this stuff. So yeah, so this is my braillenote, and this is the display. So I guess it's like the equivalent of the display screen, and I read it line by line because it's not very large, and braille only comes in one size. Like you can't enlarge it or make it smaller, which is also kind of makes a bit of a problem, I guess, because one printed page can be a lot of braille pages. But okay, so this is the display. This is like the cursor key, so if I'm in a document, you know, I press 1 and I'll put the cursor where I want it to be. This is the space bar, enter, backspace. These 6 keys here, where my fingers are like the entire braille cell, So each key, like a certain combination of keys makes up a letter, so there are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so like dot A is A, dot 1 rather is A, 1, 2 is B, you know, and it doesn't continue like that. Like people then think, oh, so 1, 2, 3 is C? No, 1, 4 is C. You know, and you can learn braille on the internet, like just Google it, you'll find it. But anyway, so, and then I don't remember if I said this, but this is the scroll wheel, which is basically what it sounds like. You can scroll it to go from line to line and stuff. I don't really use it. And then reading line to line, I use these keys here. This goes forward, this goes back. These outer keys, I'm not sure of their purpose, but I don't really use them, so whatever. And then back here we have 3 USB ports, so that's where I plug in like flash drives or cord to a printer, because that's how I get my work to my professors and teachers. I braille it and then I print it, you know, in print, normal print, nothing special about it. So these are the USB ports. This is where my SD card goes. That's where I have all of my books. I have hundreds of books. I love reading. Here is another port. This is for an embosser or maybe a screen. So if you plug a screen into here, you know, you can see, it'll display like what I'm brailing and stuff. But so an embosser is a braille printer, which is, you know, what it sounds like. It prints out in braille. It prints braille pages. This thing, I'm not sure what that does. It's another port for something else. And then so on the side here we have where I plug in the charger, and on this side we have the on-off switch. There's a record button because you can record on here. These are where the headphone jack goes, and this is the reset button. So yes, pretty thorough. This is my main source because I braille mostly. I'm a writer, so you know I braille. I also type on my computer, but I prefer brailing. So braille, and I read a lot. I read 180 words a minute. Yes, I'm quite proud of that. Sometimes I can make it to more. But actually, the Braille code changed this year, so that's frustrating. And now I'm down to like 170. Not cool. In Braille, since we can't make it larger or smaller, since it's just one set size, there are contractions, which are, you know, abbreviated words. So beyond like your for you are, or there for they are, we have additional, like we have a contraction for the, we have Y is you, and we have a number of these so that we can try to condense it a little bit more, but it still comes out to be a lot. Alright, so then to answer the person's question about how I search for things on YouTube, let's see. So, on my laptop, let me pause this. Okay, so it is not pausing for me right now. Okay. So, on my laptop, I guess I'll just hold it in front of you guys because I don't want to try to get my camera back to that position. So let me turn this up. So on my laptop, I use JAWS. This volume should be. Okay, so you hear it. I usually use it as at a faster speed, but I slowed it down a bit. So you know, the same tradition, like the screen looks the same. It's a bit dim because my eyes have been hurting, so I generally just keep it at the lowest setting, and that's still usually pretty bright. But you know, the screen is the same, like the keyboard looks the same, but all that, the only addition is now that I have the screen reader. Telling me everything, so it's just at iTunes. Hitman Pro. JAWS.
Windows activation technology.
You know, so just it reads everything to me, and I select it by pressing enter, or space, depending on, it tells me which one I should do, and I go through like windows and links by pressing tab, and yeah, so there's that. And then for my phone, which is what I mainly use, and which is what I was using to reply to your videos, I don't remember your username right now, LiveDNA, I think it was. That sounds right, but don't quote me, guys. So on my phone, I use VoiceOver, so that screen reader that I use on my computer is called JAWS. It's one of the main screen reading software. There's also a software called NVDA. That's another pretty big one. Oh, man. Okay, there's a camera stay. Okay, there's also Zoom Text, which people generally use, people with more vision but who are still low vision, who read print, they use it to enlarge the screen, to enlarge the print, as well as, you know, the voice if they need any additional help. People also use Magic, which only enlarges, I think. And then, so on the iPhone, we have Zoom, which makes things larger, and we have my trusty, let me just plug out the charger, my trusty VoiceOver. So it also reads it to me. Let me just, because don't want you looking at my ID picture. Okay, so you see it, I have a missed call, but it reads everything to me, basically.
Friday, March 18th, 2147. Friday, phone, unlock.
So normally to unlock it, I'd have to double tap it, but I'm not typing in my password, I'm just using my thumb. What a wonderful invention. Okay, so whereas normally people would just press, would just touch the icon that they want and it'll be selected. Oh, let me turn up the brightness. I also turned that down because my eyes are hurting. Okay, there we go. I should see everything. So normally, you know, you would just touch the icon to let you know, to select it. But I touch it,
Messages. One unread message.
and VoiceOver tells me what it is, and I double tap to select it.
Messages. Edit.
So, for example, and then another thing is, so let me,
YouTube.
there's YouTube. Okay.
Double tap to open.
And you don't have to keep your finger on that part of the screen, because once you selected it, like it's already under like VoiceOver's cursor. So just double tap anywhere, and it takes me into it.
Heading.
So, let's see. And then I'll just let you listen.
More actions. But selected. Home. Trending. Subscriptions. Account. Add to your action. Vote now. Link. Vote now. More actions.
I listen to it all by just swiping, from, what is this, left to right? Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. So by swiping from left to right.
Recommended. Australian versus Canadian accents.
And it just goes through everything for me.
Lyrics of all time. More actions. 10 favorite things with Mayday Parade. 3 minutes.
Ooh,
23 seconds.
totally want to
Fresh.
watch that.
40,816 views. 4 years ago.
Sweating again. But yeah, so that's basically what I do. Specifically, since I'm on YouTube,
Trending.
let's
select more action. Search. Button.
I go to search,
Search field.
and I will either.
Insertion point. Close search. Button. Button.
Okay, come back.
2149. Location. Search field. Voice search.
Okay, so I'll either use the voice search. I don't know what it looks like, but I assume you know what I'm talking about since you're looking at this now. Or I'll use dictate, which a lot of people I realize don't know exists. It's
space. Next keyboard. Dictate.
The little microphone icon at the bottom of the screen, and you can just dictate it. Generally, it's not always accurate, so you'll have to like read over the message. Or I also type, and the way I type is exactly how I use my phone. Like I touch a letter and double tap it to select it, and I don't have to. Sometimes I might not be on the right letter. Like people have watched me type, and they've been like, oh, how do you write it when you're not using the right thing? You're not touching the right letter, and you can swipe. So like,
L.
But I really want K, so I just swipe
K
to the left, and it'll tell me K. I'll swipe back to the right.
L.
I'll go back to L.
Shift.
Z. X. C. V. B. N. M. So that's basically how I use my technology. I have my phone, my iPad. What I used to record on also has voiceover. That's what all Apple users have, voiceover, and voiceover is pretty amazing. And then to enlarge things, like they use Zoom, and then there are a lot of other accessibility options, like you can invert the colors if you need like a bigger contrast, or greater contrast. And basically just, yeah. And I'll include links to all of these things in my description, so you can just learn more about it. Because obviously I'm not sure if I showed it well or if it made sense. So yeah, wow, 40 minutes. Feel free to, like, if you got through all of this, please comment and let me know. I don't know what I'll give you some brownie points, something. I don't know, but if you got through all 40 minutes of this, I am thoroughly impressed. And yeah, so thanks for watching, and I hope that this was educational and entertaining, my little anecdote at the beginning. And yeah, till next time, I'll be updating my blog tomorrow evening. I'll be updating my blog tomorrow evening, so I'll also link that in the description. Yeah, have a good night, guys. Till next time.